Welcome to the Good News Talk Show. I'm your host, Tomashian the Visionaire, and I have the pleasure to be sitting with a man of God that has impacted my life in a great way. A couple of years ago, me and my wife, we had our first child, and then eventually we had a daughter. And I was told by a couple friends that I should get this book, What He Must Be If You Want to Marry My Daughter. And I think my daughter was about 6 months at the time, and I said, okay, well, let me read this book to see how I can go about raising my daughter. But what I found out was that it helped me to do a better job of raising my son, my first son, who's actually 5. And it's tremendous, and it's just an honor to be able to sit with Pastor Dr. Voddie. Baucham. How you doing, sir? Welcome to the show. Yeah, good. So just real quick, can you just tell me a little bit about you and your ministry? What is it that you're trying to do? What's your passion?
My passion is the Word. My passion is the Scriptures. My passion is the whole truth for the whole life. My passion is the sufficiency of Scripture and applying that truth to the way the Word is taught and the way that the Word is utilized in living out our everyday life, specifically in areas like the biblical family, biblical manhood and womanhood, and our understanding of what the gospel is and how it's communicated from one generation to the next and from one person to the next.
Mm-hmm. So you are an advocate of homeschooling. From what I've heard, you have 7 children that you homeschool, you and your wife, and I've heard you say that once the child go to a certain age, you kind of take on more of a role into it.
Yeah, when our boys reach 13, I become their full-time teacher. So, my oldest son is now 18. He spent 4.5 years traveling with me full-time, basically while we completed that part of his education. Because, again, education is discipleship. And so it's as important that my son learn how to be a man and conduct himself as a man as it is for him to learn algebra. So we spent those 4.5 years together. Wherever I went, he went. We were together, something like 40 states and 15 countries over that 4.5 year period. It was a tremendous opportunity to really invest in the discipleship of my son. And my intention is to do that with all my sons.
That's good. So, like I say, I have 2 children, one 5, one, almost 2. What step would I take as it pertains to, like, what would be, like, the first step we would take to just getting started? We don't have any academic books. We don't have anything curriculum. I mean, somebody who's totally ignorant of homeschooling and who's excited about doing this, what steps should we take?
First thing I always tell people to do is to contact your state homeschool association, and they'll put you in contact with a local network, and that does a couple of things. One, it gets you information. You need to know what the laws are in your state, what's required, if anything, in your state. Secondly, it gets you support, and it gets you in contact with people who've been doing this for a while, people in your area who've been involved with this for a while, so that you can continue to ask questions as you walk through the process. But before you do anything about curriculum, I think it's most important that you do something about theology. You need to have a biblical theology of education. And so you need to spend time getting your hands on resources that will help you think biblically about why it is that you educate your children. Because if you don't do that, then what ends up happening is, again, we've been institutionalized. That's what the school system is. It's an institution. And we've been institutionalized. So it's the only way we know how to think. So if I've been institutionalized, and that's the only way I know how to think, that is going to influence the choices that I make when it comes to curriculum. So you got to detox before you go making those choices. Otherwise, you end up doing the same thing that the government schools are doing, just in a different location.
Some of the things that you said, and even I've heard before you even said it, is we're supposed to raise our children in such a way that they can be salt and light in school. And some of the rebuttal that I had when I even mentioned about doing some homeschooling is like, you need to take your kids and they need to go out and witness inside of these schools, and they need to be this salt and light. Can you just explain to me, are we missing something here?
Yeah, we're most assuredly missing something. One, we're missing the proper understanding of that text. That text says we are salt and light, not to go and be salt and light. It's an indicative, not an imperative. Secondly, if you take that to its logical conclusion, then what we ought to be doing is going over to Dearborn, because there's a Muslim school over there, right? Don't they need the gospel over there? So why wouldn't we take our children over to that school if our goal is just for our children to be salt and light? You see, it doesn't follow, It doesn't follow. That's just an excuse. Our children go to school to be educated. We train our children before we launch our children. It's like saying, you're going to take a soldier and put him in a war zone in order for him to be trained as a soldier. No, you train him as a soldier and then put him in a war zone.
Yeah, that's good. Now, you said in your presentation that you actually have the children read Darwin.
Oh, yeah, they read Origin of Species. They read Mein Kampf. They read Communist Manifesto. Toward the end of our children's education, they are engaging with those ideas that have influenced culture and history. See, the problem is You got a lot of people espousing Darwinian evolution, but they never read Darwin. You got a lot of people espousing Marxism, socialism, and communism in some instances, but they've never read Marx. They don't know about the Bolshevik Revolution. They don't understand the bloodshed. You got people who celebrate Che Guevara. He's a mass murderer. We just named one of our naval vessels after Cesar Chavez, another mass murderer. If you don't know history, you're destined to repeat it or to imbibe it. So our children interact with those ideas so that they understand where those things are coming from and where they go if they go unchecked. And also so that they can interact with people who are espousing those ideologies without ever having investigated them.
And they teach it but haven't read it themselves, right?
Yeah.
So, that's good. I do appreciate you, taking your time, just being part of the show. Voddie, if you can just give me your website or something like that and just tell them how to get in contact with you.
www.VoddieBaucham.org. VoddieBaucham.org.